We're almost at the end of the show, but we do have one final guest joining us in studio today, and she's here to enlighten us as to why separate development is so important for a healthy relationship. Please do welcome our regular life and relationship coach, Leah Sefor. Good to have you with us.
Hi, nice to be back.
Leah, tell us, what is this concept of separate growth in a relationship?
You know, you were an individual when your partner met you. And what happens in a lot of relationships is you kind of form into one being and you start to do everything together. You start to spend all your time together. And growth becomes very limited in a relationship when it's just about the two of you.
Right.
Separate development is incredibly necessary to step outside of your relationship, to find more growth and stimulation to bring back into the relationship.
Right.
Otherwise, it becomes very stagnant and the same every day.
I suppose also if you're doing all the same things and the same interests, you don't have that much to really talk about that's exciting.
And anyone in a long-term relationship knows this. It does get to a point in a long-term relationship where things do get stale and you've had all the conversations and you know each other's stories and you're not bringing new energy into the relationship. And, you know, you can't be everything to each other. You can't be my partner and my lover and my best friend and my confidant. And there has to be healthy space because that claustrophobia in a relationship can breed resentment. So, you know, go and have your hobbies outside of your relationship. Go and explore sports, go and explore artistic outlets, go and do workshops, go whatever takes your fancy, but don't always think that you have to do it with your partner.
Okay.
It's really healthy because a lot of the time the partner feels obligated to come and do that stuff with you, and then they get resentful and then they don't want to do it, and it dilutes your joy of the experience. So when you can go out and experience a fantastic event or hobby and bring that excitement back into your relationship, it now raises the energy of your relationship.
Okay. So it's interesting, it's when you talk about separate development, it's not about having to go off and study a degree separately, but it's just different activities that bring interest and are a bit of diversity from the everyday norm.
Absolutely, and listen, it can exist on a spectrum. You can just have a casual hobby, or you know, if your partner decides they really want to go and do a degree and they're at the stage of their life that they're ready to do it, then you need to support that because that is their personal growth and that is their joy, and that is, you know, going to get the best out of who they are. That's ultimately going to serve the relationship. So I'm not saying there's a limit on what that development looks like, but yes, you're right, it's mostly just day-to-day activities. Every week you need to be having some healthy space away from your partner.
Right. I think that idea of space is really, really important. I mean, also when you look at how a lot of people have been working from home a lot more, a lot of partners work together as well. So if you don't have that separation and the different interests, it can be quite tedious, I can imagine. Very
tedious, and I think we've seen that through this pandemic and through COVID is how everybody's on top of each other and there is no space. So even you can still now find online groups to join that have nothing to do with your partner. And one of the things that becomes a big problem in relationship is a lack of trust. And when you are on top of each other all the time, you can see what your partner is doing all the time, and then that's the wrong way to build trust because it's almost possessive. Whereas if you can trust your partner to go off and have their activities and leave your space and go and explore things in a joyful way and have fun, knowing that they're still coming back to you at the end of the day, it builds a much more profound sense of trust in the relationship.
And I think also the idea of just reminding people and reminding ourselves that growth is important. You don't want to stagnate, whether it's on your own or with somebody else. You want to engage in things that develop you so that you're not sort of just existing in terms of the life that you live.
Absolutely. We are not the same people we were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. We will continually grow until the day we die. And in a relationship, the two individuals have to be growing and then the relationship has to be growing. And that is only going to happen when new energy and new ideas are being brought to the table. So, you know, I will go out and explore something new and it's interesting, and I'll bring that home to my partner and say, hey, this is something I'd love to talk about, this is something maybe we could do together. And it just takes our relationship into a new level consistently, which is where growth has to happen. And you don't have growth, your relationship is not going to last.
It's interesting that you say there in terms also of going off and doing some personal growth, but maybe bringing that back in and then sharing the experience as well. So you've got multi sort of dynamics in that space.
Absolutely, and also being completely okay if your partner doesn't want to get on board. You know, oh, I've started this new yoga class, it's wonderful, I'd love you to come do it with me. No.
Not for me,
Not for me, that's fine. Then that's fine. Don't get upset with your partner. You know, you never do what I want to do. That's not, you can't use your personal growth as a weapon. It's really about finding more of who you are, exploring more of who you are, and that just brings more into the relationship for your partner to be in relationship with.
If you want to start this process of separate growth, and you got to introduce that now to your partner who may be overly protective of the situation, how do you broach that without it becoming an issue of its own?
The logistical details. I'm going to this place at this time. These are the people I'm going to be doing this with. Here's the website. Would you like to check it out and see what it's about? Really just put the idea in their head, or the visual or the details in their head, so that they're not making up some big story in their head of what they think you're doing. Unfortunately, it is a very common thing I see in relationship, is this possessiveness. And it is suffocating. If you engage in this behavior in your relationship is going to be in trouble. So gently bringing one thing at a time, doing it for a few weeks, letting your partner feel that it's okay, that it's a trustworthy thing to be going on, and then you can start introducing new things. But this is also important, that both people are going out and doing their development. We can't have a situation where one person is doing all this great development and having hobbies and going out with friends, and the other just stays at home all the time, because then that person's trying to bring the new relationship to a next level, and this person wants to be stuck where things are permanently. Exactly. You're either there's going to be a split. You're going to be left behind. You're not going to resonate with each other anymore. You're not going to have things to talk about anymore, and then the relationship is going to decline.
What happens if the other partner just doesn't want to get on board?
Look, I think that you've always got a future vision stuff to get people excited. You say to your partner, where would we like to be in our relationship by the end of this year? This is what has not worked for us this year. Where would we like to be next year, and how are we going to get there? I know, why don't we try this? We haven't done this in this area of our life. Maybe we need to do a fitness thing together. Maybe we need to start a new spiritual path together. Why don't we have a financial coach come and work with us about finances? So bring some new energy in together, that you're doing something together. That introduces a new idea that's not so threatening. Once that seems to be getting exciting, then you can broach okay, I'd like to do something on my own. Or, we've been doing this thing on spiritual growth together. I can see it's not really your cup of tea. I would really like to continue with this path. Is that okay with you? It's just checking in. But always start together, and then that can lead to separating off into your own things.
Okay. I mean, it seems like something that would be really exciting for most people. I think when if you've been in a relationship even just for a couple of years, it already starts to slow down, if I can use that word gently. So the excitement of something new should be really cool. So we kind of hope that everybody would be on board.
Absolutely, and just accept that relationships are not static. They're not going to stay in the same place when you met. You've both changed into being different people, and if the point comes when genuinely there is no more connection, you can't find that connection no matter how much you're trying, then it might be time to say goodbye to the relationship, and that is also okay. People have to stop compromising themselves so much for the fear of losing the relationship at the cost of their own personal growth. That is not healthy at all.
How much of an impact does society's expectations have on people's relationships?
Huge. Family expectations. Parents especially get overly involved with their kids, going, well, in our day this is how things happened, and your sister doesn't do this in her marriage. And so this comparison that friends and family bring in is really, really overwhelming for people, because you start to listen too much to other people's voices and not enough to your own. And that ties in with this personal growth thing, that when you are doing your own stuff, you're building your own self-confidence and your own self-esteem. So when it comes time to making big decisions about your relationship, you know to trust your inner voice. If you're not doing any personal growth and you're just staying static, then you are going to have, take on everybody else's advice and opinions and not really know what's right for you. So this personal growth and separate development feeds your relationship on quite a lot of levels, and it allows you to say to everyone in your life, I know you mean the best for us, I know you love us, and this is a very personal thing that's really got nothing to do with anybody else except the two of us. So please give us the space.
If somebody's watching us and thinking, I love the idea, but it scares the hell out of me, what is the lightest, gentlest first step that somebody might take that you could suggest?
Do an online course. There are loads of amazing online courses through COVID that have happened, and anything that interests you. If do you want to start a new business? Would you like to learn how to make jewelry? Would you like to learn how to start baking? There are so many amazing online. Just Google free courses online. Doesn't have to be free, but there are lots of free ones as well. See what finds your interest. It doesn't have to be something that's going to be the next career of your life. It's just got to be something new and something interesting for you to do. I'm a big fan of creativity. Something that's creative. creative. It just gives you a break from the mundane, and it just gives you something to be excited about. If you are physical and you like to do sports, again, I know it's been a problem with COVID, but a lot of studios have transitioned their classes online. Again, do an online class and say to your partner, hey, I'm doing this class tonight, would you like to join me? Because I think we've both been sitting on the couch a little bit too much, and I think we could do with some stretching and movement. It's so I would definitely start with doing something online.
Okay, I like the idea of those. You mentioned sort of just trying to bake something or doing it online, because there's no real consequence. You know, you can't mess that up. You can't. Well, hopefully you don't feel excessive pressure, which also makes it much more pleasurable than committing to a huge something.
Absolutely, and in a relationship, there are a lot of people that, you know, there are a lot of online resources for relationship work. And you feel like you want to shift the way you communicate, there's a lot of online resources for that. A lot of YouTube videos, a lot of webinars. And you can say to your partner, hey, we've got all this time, we are together all the time at home. Instead of binge watching another series on Netflix, why don't we actually do something proactive and it's going to make a big difference in our relationship, and let's do this together and see how we feel. And that tends to awaken people to go, wow, that was really interesting. I wonder what other courses are out there. And that can drive the search for separate development.
How exciting to get out of a stagnant space if you might be there. So
unnecessary.
Hopefully the viewers out there have recognized it maybe and will take that step. I look forward for them.
Yes, me too. Good.
Excellent.
Please do it. Please do it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Leah. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
Excellent.